Hello and welcome to the Enchanted Numerology podcast. I'm your host, Erica Rose, a Life Path 7, here to bring you all the magic of numerology. And today I am so excited. We have a very special guest. She is a wealth activator, a money manifestation expert and teacher. She is an incredible author of The Way of the Wealthy Woman, the Journal, and the Oracle deck. Cosmic Wealth Codes, again, journal and oracle deck, and soon to be Gods of Wealth. So excited for that. So welcome, Taylor Eaton. Yay!
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and get to chat numerology with you.
Yeah, so you are so incredible. You are my favorite person to go to for money advice. I listen to your money subliminals all the time. You're always posting wealth readings. And I just love the way that you are transforming people's mindsets around wealth. So, do you want to talk a little bit about what it is you do and how you came to do that?
Yeah, oh my gosh. Whenever someone asks me that question, I always say the easiest way to explain what I do is I'm a wealth activator, which because I have so many ways that I do what I do, but my whole intent is to help change the money paradigm on the planet. And the way I'm here to do that is by helping individuals understand how we create wealth from the inside out. So the mindset, the energy, and the identity and actions that stem from that place that allows us to unlock just insane levels of wealth. And I truly believe that money is a game of connecting to your power. And I love empowering people around money. So I do that in so many different ways. And, like you said, I create subliminals. I do tarot readings around money. I do business mentoring for highly established and successful entrepreneurs and individuals. I kind of have done it all. And like you said, I'm an Oracle deck author, like I said, soon to be authoring a book. And so there's so many different things that I do, but all of it is with the intent to help each of us transform our relationship with money and really be able to empower ourselves around it and create it internally first and see how easy it can be to then experience it externally. So that's how I do it. How I got started was years and years. It was about 8 years ago that I started my business. And when I started this work, it was because I saw my parents struggling with money so much that, I never wanted for anything as a kid, but my parents experienced multiple bankruptcies while I was growing
Mm.
up. And just seeing the stress of that and then how they wanted better for me and my brothers, but they didn't know any better. And so it was a very externalized chase of money of if you just work hard enough, you'll be set, you'll have enough. And I did that and I worked so hard and I studied so hard. I went to the best universities. I got the degree. I got into a lot of debt along the way doing that with student loans. It was like I did all the quote unquote correct things and the money wasn't there. And I even got the job and kept getting promoted and I was not being paid a livable wage. It was just like there were all these things that I was like, this isn't what I was told. And I felt so disempowered and so kind of suffocated by the debt and completely floundering around money in my early 20s and having to live at home with my parents. And just, I was like, where did I go wrong? I did everything that I was told to do. And that was that moment where I just realized there must be a different way. There must be something different with money. And so that started this journey. That was probably, oh my gosh, almost 15 years ago. And it started this journey of understanding the mindset and energy and identity behind money. And as I started to build that and see my financial reality shift, even in the corporate world, doubling my income overnight and, just insane manifestations, I was like, I want to do something more. And there's a whole saga behind why I started my business, but ultimately started it not quite teaching on money, but as things evolved, I was like, this is what I'm here to do. And so as my business grew, as I grew, I started teaching more on money and business, human design and money, just all different sorts of modalities. And it's been a crazy but beautiful ride. And so it's 8 years in a nutshell.
I love all that so much. And I relate to that so much too, because same, like I grew up very middle class. Same thing. My parents were really indoctrined, like work hard for your money, went to college, did everything I was told, came out with lots of debt and like jobs offering me $12 an hour when I had a
Yeah.
degree, and me being like, what am I supposed to do? Lived at home. I lived at home up until I got married, really, just because financially. So yeah, I feel like that's very millennial of us. And I love that you realize that, what we were told isn't necessarily the right path. So you created your own path and realized an energy. There's so much energy to that. And actually, so you probably remember like years ago, probably like 6 years ago now, you did a human design reading for me and it was amazing. And you actually gave me a lot of money advice in that. So I feel like you were, even though you were human design, you were still always so interested in the wealth. And I've always taken that advice you gave me to heart. And I remember you said that so much of it for me was to just like lean into fun and joy, that like I couldn't make money if I wasn't happy, and I've always tried to let that lead me. So I have remembered your money advice for the past 6 years.
Oh my gosh, that
But
means so much to me, and I remember that reading, and, then I remember seeing you because we started following each other, I think, on
yeah.
Instagram after that, and I just remember seeing you evolve and seeing you having so much like, your content always just has this joy and this fun to it, and just
Oh,
seeing that
thank you.
evolve, and then, when I know when you started, working with our publisher now, I could see the fun in it, and it was just like and I remember when she reached out to me, our publisher, and was like, "Hey, do you know an Erica Rose? She says she knows you, and she, is submitting with us." And I was like, "You need to sign her. Like, you have she's
Oh,
gonna be
thank
like her
you.
marketing is so fun, and it's just like and her branding is on point, and she's the sweetest person." And I could just tell, like as soon as our publisher reached out to me and told me that, I was like, I knew you were having fun with it. Like I knew, like I was like, you wouldn't be pursuing this if this weren't something you were just so lit up by. So I'm just so glad to hear that was in your mind because it was very apparent to me.
Oh my god, thank you
Mhm.
so much. I didn't know that. Yeah, so I also thank you for helping me get published, because I found Muse Oracle Press through you, because you posted about it and I checked them out and I was like, "Oh, I love the work they're creating." I was like, "I love Taylor's work." Like, I feel like she would pick somebody very aligned, and so I just like took a chance and submitted, and I'm so grateful because, Steph and that whole team, they're amazing and incredible. So, thank you for helping make my dream come true.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yeah.
It's all interconnected.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
fun. And could you tell me a bit about the book that is coming out soon, Gods of Wealth? I know you like just
Oh my
announced
gosh.
that. What you can tell.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I'm currently writing the book. The book, it will be through our publisher, through Muse Oracle Press. It's scheduled for publication at the end of 2027. So we're about, the time of recording this, a year and a half out, but I am currently writing it. And the book is, I am channeling 12 different deities, so gods and
So
goddesses
cool.
that pertain to wealth from different cultures and different times of human history around the world. And uh, there'll be channeled messages, which is something that I do on one of my YouTube channels. But it's also there, the intent is for there to be possibly meditations or affirmations or, prompts, different things, especially some spell work to help you work with each of these different
Ooh.
deities and the different aspects they bring into abundance if you want some sort of rituals and ways to kind of tangibly interact with it. And so my theory, which I'm exploring as I research and write this book, is I really feel like I just said, it's all connected. I really feel like the different archetypes we see around wealth across the world and across human history hold different keys to abundance. And I feel like maybe when we see them all together and through this empowered lens that I'm bringing to it of how do we take this kind of ancient wisdom and bring it into modern day empowerment and manifestation with money. And I really feel like the more I research, the more I'm like, this piece complements this piece, and this deity's teachings and areas around wealth really is the counterbalance to this one, right? And so there's just so much complexity, but really elegance in the way that I think as a whole, as a world, we kind of have the answers, and it's kind of an exploration of bringing that together, but through a way where the individual gets to really take in the different teachings and the different energies and archetypes that are going to best serve the reader, right? So I'm
Oh
very
my
excited for
god. Yeah,
this.
that
Yeah.
sounds incredible. That sounds amazing. I'm pre-ordering that the second it's available. I'm so excited for that. Awesome. So, are you ready to get into your numerology calculations?
Yes.
So it's funny. So, starting with your life path, which, is the ongoing theme of your life, it's kind of always present. It's who you are at the core of your being, your lessons, everything. So, when before I calculated, I was like, she definitely has to have like some kind of eight or something because, you're all about money and manifesting. But then I saw that you were a life path 6, and I realized that makes even more sense because 6 is the nurturer. And you always talk about your whole thing was matriarchal money and nurturing, being a steward to money, and just like really the more that you feel love and gratitude towards life and money, that's what helps you manifest. And I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that is so spot on because that's so life path 6.
Yeah, no, and I wonder, I don't know if you do, like, the master numbers or not. I just remember I've calculated my numerology, which I know very little about, and I remember
Yeah.
it told me I was, like, a 33, which is where the 6 then gets boiled dodown from,
Uh-huh.
but I remember looking at that, and I was like, "Yeah, that seems about right," but I think even what you just said about I don't know if I like, because I haven't looked into this much, but that word nurturing was so spot on when you said it, 'cause I'm like, it is, yeah, absolutely, like, nurturing is a very big element of what I call the new money paradigm, where I believe, we're all kind of headed, and what I'm here to help us all evolve into individually and collectively. But also the way I see us creating wealth from the inside out, and what is at the core of almost everything I do, whether it's a subliminal or an oracle deck or a channeled message or a coaching session, is bringing people deeper into connection with their own internal power, and then understanding how to grow that, how to nurture
Mm.
that, and then how to
Yes.
translate that into external abundance. And it really is this nurturing of like, can you nurture your own power? Can you nurture your own intuition? Can you nurture your own innate magnetism and the things that come easily to you, and then turn it all into outer abundance? And so I think that that's a perfect interpretation of that path. It's like, how do we nurture that inner connection so we can translate it into external wealth?
Yeah, I love that so much. And one thing I know from following you on Instagram that I love and I always try to remember to do myself is you'll post stories of like yourself like in the forest, in the woods, or with your family, and you'll be like, this is wealth. And that's so life path 6 because 6 loves to romanticize their life. They love to feel gratitude in all the little things and see that, love is the real currency of the universe, the energy. So that is so spot on for you. You are like embodying your life path so perfectly.
That is amazing. Yeah, I didn't even know how much I would appreciate and find wealth and teachings around, honestly, money in nature until about, 7 years ago. So just after I'd started my business, my husband and I moved up here to the Pacific Northwest where we live now. And I'm from San Diego originally. I'm from, beachy coastal desert,
Yeah.
and uh I kinda knew that wasn't where I was meant to be, and I've traveled all over, and I've lived in New York, and I've lived in Italy, and I've lived, all
Oh
over
my
the
God.
place.
Yes.
But I didn't realize until we road tripped up here, and as I came, we were driving through and started to see all the trees and all the forests start to take over the landscape. It was like I felt my soul, like, sigh, like, it was just like this like, this was, like, where I'm supposed to be, at least for this chapter of my life, and it was I've found through so much of nature, and even I've started gardening since I've been up here, which I never thought I would do, and just all these things where I'm like that very nurturing energy, where it is like how abundant this world is, and how abundant every moment is when we're willing to take that perspective of it. And it's been like I like just with this theme of nurturing coming through, it's like this absolutely, like, I see that very much, and it's like I can't I you hear all the people online saying, share your personal branding and live, share your lifestyle and all that. I'm like, my lifestyle is hiking with my dogs in the woods or gardening with my daughter, or, like, it's nature has for me taught me the most, I think, about abundance and about nurturing things. And it's not the only path, and it's definitely not how I don't teach through nature in my business at the moment. But I really feel like it makes a lot of sense with what you're saying of, like, it's a very nurturing kind of approach to money, and it's a nurturing, world in a way.
Yeah, I love that so much. And 6 also does have the energy of like cozy homebody. So I love that
Mm.
too, that you're like, I just want to garden or be with my family because 6 is that's what 6 is all about. 6 is also
My
really
husband and
oh,
I call it Hobbit lifestyle because he's a big Lord of the Rings fan. So we're like, it's just we're living our Hobbit lifestyle.
awesome.
That's the
I
dream.
love that so much. Yeah. And 6 is also really big on self-love too. So I feel like probably
Mhm.
throughout your life, both like romantic love, like your journey to your husband and learning to love yourself, that's probably been a big part of your path and journey as well.
Oh my gosh, 100%. The way I met my husband, I always I manifested him, but like my whole life I wanted to manifest, a relationship, my person. I dated a lot growing up, when I was, in high school and college and early 20s. And I remember I had, I kept going and trying to meet people and finding that person. And I remember I had 4 first dates in one weekend and they all sucked. And I was like, I was so fed up. I was, this is when I was living at home. I was fresh out of college or, grad school with my student loan debt. And I just remember deciding to go on it was basically a self-love hiatus, but I basically was like,
Love.
I'm not dating anyone for at least a year. I'm not going to go try. I'll make an exception if anyone comes along, but I'm not going to go to bars anymore. I'm not going to go out trying to meet people. I'm not going to be looking for that everywhere. I'm going to focus on giving myself what I want, which is that love. And that was when I kind of started my writing journey. And I used to do fiction and I had some little publications and I was so in love with myself and with my life and with my passion of writing. And then about 8 months into that hiatus, my husband came along through a mutual friend. And, then, like I was like, all right, here's the exception. And we've been together ever since. And, we're together 13 years now. And um, he and I have talked about how like we each were going through a similar phase of having to love ourselves and fully be good on our own and be so in love with life on our own before we were ready to meet one another. So
Yes.
absolutely, like that
I
was
love that.
100% it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's so important. You know, I love talking about love. I wrote a
Mhm.
book, but
Mhm.
I love that really like, especially as a life path 6, that your journey to love was through self-love. Like that's so
Mhm.
perfect, so aligned. So you were definitely tapping into the right energy there. So that's incredible. So next we're going to go to your expression number. So like our life path is like who we are at the core of our being, what we're meant to do. And then our expression is really our how, like how we're meant to enact that. And your expression is a 1, which is being a leader, being the first to do something, looking at something in a completely different way that no one else has ever done before. And I feel like this is so spot on for you, just combining both of these. You are a nurturer of money. You are romanticizing your life, and that's bringing in more wealth and more abundance. And you're doing it by teaching in a way that at least I personally have not heard anyone else teach about before. And I love you did a whole series on matriarchal money, and I was like, yes, this is it. So I love that. This is your innovation.
Yes, and that is as soon as you said, I'm like, yes, of course, I know you do. I'm a human design expert,
Yeah,
and that I have a 5 line. I'm a 5-1 for those of you who know human design, but that's the leader line in human design too. And it's very much,
perfect.
it's like any system you look at, astrology, anything. It's like everything is like, oh, you're a leader, you're a leader, you're a leader. And I remember not wanting to necessarily I didn't identify with the term of being a leader up until just a couple years ago, even though I was already established in my business. I was already published author. Like I didn't consider myself a leader. I I really struggled with that term and now it fits. And now but I found for me it was like the responsibility that comes with it. And I had to really shift
Hmm.
my relationship with responsibility and heal a lot of kind of inner child wounds around responsibility. Um but the kind of power that opens up for you and that you have to be able to hold and be comfortable with as a leader. And that's something that's been a really fulfilling but really sticky journey for me over the
Yeah.
last couple of years. Like one I didn't want. It was like the reluctant crown, right? It's like I don't want this. I don't want this power, but I want to do the thing I want to do and I want to be the ripple in the world. And so yeah, I think matriarchal money, that masterclass, that whole series, I had a mastermind around it that just wrapped at the beginning of this month. And that whole concept that channeled through me and that is, as it's a kind of bridge into the new money paradigm. It's a way for us to counterbalance all the shadows we see around money in the world right now, and how we can navigate money in a way that brings us more into balance with a more empowered approach to money. And when I channeled that, I was like, this is revolutionary. Like, this is incredibly different. And it felt a little scary, honestly, putting it out there, because it was like, this is going against the grain of what so many people think around money. And so many
Mhm.
people are maybe not ready for this. And also, there's a lot of really powerful people that, if this ever ends up on their radar, are not
Yeah.
gonna be happy about
No.
this, and, it just it's like that leadership absolutely comes through in a lot of different ways, and it's something that I think if you told me this, if we were having this conversation 3 years ago, I would have been like, "Okay, that's nice," but
Yeah.
I don't agree,
Not
but that
bye.
fully resonates now, and, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting too about your expression number is that it's also known as your destiny. So it's what you're meant to grow into. So you don't necessarily have to have been a leader right off the bat. Like it was kind of like you were saying, like I almost think of it as like a superhero's journey where like you get the powers and you're like, no, I don't want this, or you're learning how to use your powers. And then it all it comes together, you master it. So it's like part of your destiny was to learn how to grow into that, and everything that
Mhm.
you learn really set you up because you are meant to be an innovator by all means. So I love that you're really living into that as well. So, so cool. And then next we have your soul urge number, which is our why. It's like what motivates us, what drives us, like why we do the things we're doing. And for this, you are a 7, which 7 is spirituality, it's intuition, it's higher level learning. So for you, it's like your why is because you just want to make sense of the world. You want to use your intuition. You want to really like help others use their own intuition. 7 is knowledge. So it's like you just want to acquire all of the knowledge you can so that way you can be a leader and nurture in the way you're meant to nurture.
Yeah, that absolutely resonates. I am such a such a knowledge-based person. I like having the facts and the research, but also it's almost been a grapple for me. And it still is something I continue to have to find the balance between, is like the part of my mind that really loves and does well with research and knowledge, but then the part of me that wants to flow intuitively. And I think there are a lot of ways that complements one another, but then I can see sometimes, especially with our current conditioning in the world and the way most of us are raised, where the logic and the knowledge tends to override the intuition or be
Yes.
weighted more heavily. And that's been a big journey of mine to trust my intuition. And that's a big part of what I teach. It's one of like the 3 pillars I teach on an
Yeah.
individual level of like, how do you manifest more money? Like trust is one of those 3 pillars. It's a lot of trusting your intuition is a big part of that. And I really do feel that we have this inner sacred, maybe spiritual knowing that is always guiding us. And it's learning to trust that. It's a coming home to trusting it. And, I think for me, that part of myself where I maybe slip the most out of it is because also the part of me that loves knowledge. It's like
Yeah.
they're 2 sides of the same coin, but it's not
Yes.
always balanced for me. And, just hearing you say that, I'm like, that's incredibly resonant, but also very interesting because I'm like, ooh, that is probably where sometimes it's like, especially when we talk about me writing this Gods of Wealth book, this is like the biggest growth for me in writing this book is, yes, I'm doing research, but not letting the research override the intuitive messages that are coming through,
Ooh, I
and
love
really
that.
letting those be bolstered by the knowledge, but not overridden by it, which is my old way of operating. And it's such a journey. And there's so much that is coming up right now for me around that of like, is this valid? Is this good enough? Is this, are people going to value this because it's coming from a very intuitive place? Yes, it's based on some research I've done on these deities, but it's a very intuitively written book. And that's like it's such an interesting initiation for me right now that I'm moving through. So I love that that's come up here with this.
Yeah, it's so cool. So like I always think of like life path expression and soul urge as like your big 3 like in astrology. It's like your big
Mhm.
3 in numerology. So it's so fun that you literally are nurture, leader, intuition. Like that's all
Yep.
that you are about. It's so cool. And it's so cool to see that you're actually living it cuz and you're working through it because I think that's a lot of what numerology too is that that's why it's a path. we're meant to learn to grow into it. So you are just naturally just leaning into it, which is so cool, so beautiful to see. That's why, like I said, when I saw your calculations, I was like, oh, you can't make this up. It's so cool. So next, a little more fun on this one. This is your personality number, which is how others perceive you, your natural stance. So you in this one are a 3, and a 3 is actually sunshine. It's joy, it's fun, it's very inner child, it's creativity. So to other people, you just come off as this like ray of light, which I definitely see from, I seeing you on the internet and seeing how you're enjoying everything you're doing. I feel like you're very connected to inner child, like, that comes off to me, so I love that. This is all for you too.
It's funny. Whenever people ask me what has been like behind some of my biggest quantum leaps around money, N especially early on, a lot of it was, like, inner child healing and
Oh,
connecting
wow.
with that part of myself, and I remember there was a really wonderful mentor I was working with, when I had my first big leap in business, which was I was at 2K months at best for, like, the first year of my business, and then I leapt to 20K months within,
So
like, a
cool.
month or two's time, and, there were so many things that went into that and so many different dimensions of it, but one of the biggest things that I think had to shift, if I didn't shift this, it could not have happened, was a lot of inner child healing, and it was actually around the responsibility piece and how I was tying that into letting myself actually relax and receive. And,
Mm.
I remember my coach at the time after, like, an intense inner child healing session where I was crying my eyes out, and she was like, "Okay, your homework is to go play and have fun." And I was like, "What? But I haven't made money this month yet. I haven't." And she's like, "That's the homework," and having to learn to honor my inner child before going and trying to make the money or doing things in my business and giving her space to play. It's like that I don't think that I could have then received the ideas and had the bandwidth to execute on them if I hadn't learned how to heal and connect with that part of myself. And so that has absolutely been a big part of things. And every time that there's been a big leap in my business, there's at least a little bit of inner child work that's done there. But I never ever had connected with my inner child
Yeah.
before starting my business. And seeing that, it's like, yeah, like that is a part of me. And I think the times I'm more connected to letting that play through are the times the money flows a lot more in my life, and the times that I kind of forget that and neglect that part of myself, then absolutely the more that the money kind of slows down, or
Yeah.
the success stops, or things just feel heavier or less alive for me.
I love that. And another cool aspect of the 3 is actually communication as well. So like personality wise, you come off as somebody who like always knows exactly what to say, somebody who's well spoken. People love to listen to you when you speak, which like I agree. I love to listen to you when you speak. And that's also I feel like what makes you such a great writer too, because you go deep and people just love to hear what you have to say. I feel like this also you're a Sagittarius, so I feel like this also really ties into that as well. It's just like fun, bubbly, adventurous personality.
It is. That is very much, I always say, especially, even looking at my human design chart, there's so much similarity there too, but it's for me, my words and my ability to connect with others and direct people through my words is like my biggest superpower. It's my biggest money making gifts in my human design chart. It's also just what I've always had just this innate love for is words and communication, but particularly like written or spoken communication. And I remember being about 8 years old, sitting in the back of the car, my dad driving me to school, and I was very lucky to grow up in San Diego. So I was, looking at the ocean. It was like a
So
foggy
nice.
morning, and you couldn't see where the horizon was. You couldn't see where the fog started and the ocean ended, and like I remember writing a piece of prose at like 8 years old, like about that. And
Aw.
in that moment, realizing in the car, like I love this. Nothing else makes me feel this way. Like, this is the most joy I have just on my own, right? Like, this is the thing that consistently, like, that I could lose myself in forever. At 8, I knew this, right?
I love that.
Um, and I remember ever since then, I was always writing poetry, I was writing prose, and then, started writing fiction when I was on my self-love hiatus. And, like, I have always loved writing. I was a linguistics major in college. I spoke multiple languages. Like, language has always fascinated
So
me,
cool.
and I've actually been sharing the behind the scenes of me writing my book, God's Wealth, in my Wealth Vibe membership. And we have a whole section there where I'm sharing behind the scenes, but also exclusive things that are coming through for them in there. And I told them, if you have questions for me, this is a membership about wealth and abundance and manifestation, but if you have questions about the writing process, I'm an open book. Let me know. And one of them said, why did you call it God's Wealth instead of Goddesses of Wealth? Because I do like the Wealthy Woman
Oh,
Oracle and
true.
things like that. And I was like, well, the publishing marketing team asked that as well. And so it's just like, but I was like, I told her there were a couple of reasons. And I said, but one of the things about it is that there's just something about it that sounds intuitively correct to me. And I can't
Hmm.
describe it. And I said, ever since I've been little, I can tell when I'm writing something or speaking whether a word or the way words are arranged or strung together is correct or not. And I can't
Yeah,
explain it
I
any better
get
than that. But
that.
there's this intuitive, like, I'm like, that is the correct word. Even if there's another word that someone else might use, it's like, but this is the one that has the right frequency. This is the one that's going to activate the right thing in people. Like, and I can't explain it, but it's an intuitive, like, it's almost like it sounds right to my ear, like music sounds right or wrong, like when it's off key or something, right? But
Yeah.
it's like I have that, but with language and with communication. And so that's always been present, but it hasn't been until I explained that to someone in my membership the other week that I was like, oh, that's like that, communication and that natural ability to communicate that just, I think, has always dwelled within me.
Yeah, I love that because I too have been writing since I was a little kid. Actually, my first story was a bunch of scribbles and pictures. Like before I could even actually write letters, I just a scribble and like a cave drawing basically, and I would tell it back. But yeah, always writing fiction stories when I was little. And same thing, it is like creating music. That's such a good way to describe it. Like it just feels right, like when you just let it flow. So I get what you mean completely. And I want to ask, what other languages do you speak? That's so cool.
I'll put it in past tense because I used to
Okay.
be fluent and I haven't used them in years. So I could not carry on a conversation
Yeah.
probably with a native speaker, but I was conversationally fluent in French and Italian, and I lived in
Cool.
Italy for a year. I went
Amazing.
into school as a French major because I'd studied a lot of French in high school and loved it and was very good with it. But then someone told me about linguistics. I was like, what is linguistics? And took intro to linguistics as like a freshman, and I fell in love with it. I was like, oh my gosh, there's this whole system and understanding of language and the biology of it, the transformation of it over the years. So I love that. So I ended up being a linguistics major, but still studied French, and then went and lived in Italy and picked up Italian there. I lived there for a year with a homestay family and just was immersed in the language. And then I also I knew a fair amount of German for a while,
So
and
cool.
American Sign Language as well.
Ooh.
I wouldn't say I was fluent in them, but I did study them quite a bit. So
Uh,
those were the languages.
that's so cool. I love
Yeah.
it. I'm fascinated
Yeah.
by languages too. I think they're
Uh-huh.
just so interesting. It's so cool. All right. So next we have your balance number, which I think this is one of the most important calculations for anyone because our balance number is how we de-stress. It's how we get back into balance, back into alignment. So here you are also a 7, which means that listening to your intuition, doing an oracle card pull, consulting your spirit guides, meditating, that is how you de-stress. That's how you best come into alignment.
That is very resonant, and that's also just good for me to keep in mind. And it explains why whenever I have felt like I'm hitting a brick wall with anything, whether it's my business or income or anything where I'm trying to up level, um, I won't swear here because I don't know if anyone want me to swear on the podcast, but I
You can
get to what
swear, it's okay.
I can swear. All right, I call it my fuck it point, and I've told my membership and my clients about this, but it's I will reach a point where I've found that I'm going back into like the old ways of overthinking, over prioritizing the logic too much.
Mhm.
Doing the old programming that my parents taught me of just like work hard enough and you can achieve anything or have any
Yeah.
money or whatever. And when I get to that point, I'm just doing hustling, work hard, old money paradigm and conditioning. Uh, I will do it until a point where I get so frustrated and annoyed and that it's not working because I'm doing everything right, quote unquote,
Mhm.
and it's not working. And so I get mad enough that I just get to a point of complete almost surrender and I say, fuck it. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to do what intuitively feels correct. And I just go back and then all the money always comes in
Love
and
that.
all the success comes and whatever I'm manifesting comes. It was like, it was basically a point that I reached with, my relationship where I was like, fuck it. I'm not going to date anymore.
Yes.
I'm going to just be on my own and love my own company. And I don't care if I never go on another date in my life. Like it was just like that kind of like whatever and completely surrendering to what felt right to me. And that explains a lot and is also just a very, very easy and succinct way to keep that in mind for myself for the future. So thank you. Of just like not
Yeah.
even having to get to a fuck it point, but to a point of I am like, I'm just gonna come back to the intuition. Like it's just the intuition reset.
Exactly.
So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, just when in doubt, go inwards. Like
Mhm.
my husband also is a balance 7, and when he is stressed, he needs to just like be alone for a moment and just like quiet his mind, stuff like that. So I feel like that always just going inwards just helps you 7 so much.
Yes,
Awesome.
absolutely.
And then finally, and last, we have our lifetime lesson number. So, this is a number that is what your soul came in here to learn. It's what you wanted to prioritize healing, working through in this lifetime. Lots of times it does carry over from past lifetimes, and it's kind of like a karma that you're still meant to work through. So, a lot of times people have maybe like 2 or 3, even 4 different numbers, but you actually only have one. And I feel like this is so fitting for you. And I feel like you've already mastered this lesson. Your lifetime lesson is an 8, which is money and manifesting.
Oh my god.
Is that so cool?
That is amazing. I love that. Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah.
your soul came into life with that emphasis on I want to learn how to heal my relationship with success, with money. I want to master wealth. I want to master abundance. And I want to be an expert in manifesting. And I think it's safe to say that you have achieved that and you're still achieving that. But I think it's really cool that from what you shared earlier, that you said that wealth didn't always come easy to you. Manifesting all of that was a struggle and it was something that you had to step into and learn. So that's spot on for a lifetime lesson, right?
Oh my gosh. I'm like shocked and I'm like I shouldn't be surprised, but I am. And it's so fascinating because there's always parts, like we said, in every system that explains why I'm fascinated with money, particularly because the fascination with money was not there growing up. Like I liked material things. I wanted to have a lot of money when I grew up because I wanted to, like when you're a little kid, you're like, I want to be rich and I want to have a
Yeah,
limousine and like all that, like the things you think you
absolutely.
want when you're little and you just, are just like anything's possible. And I I just feel like I didn't have an obsession with like what's our relationship with money and what's my mindset around money? How do I make more money? As a kid, I didn't have that. It was the love for words. And so I have often thought like, why did I choose this path? Why? Because I remember being a kid and being like, I want to be an author. I want to be,
Mhm.
that's my job. And now that is my job. And I've manifested that for myself. I didn't think it was going to be through Oracle decks and through channeled writings. And like, I thought it was going to be fiction or prose. Like
Me too.
right. So I'm just like, I am like, how did it end up here? And it's so fascinating to me to just hear like, this is that karmic lesson and what I came here to learn because it's like, I feel like I struggled with it. I have at times still continued. I don't want to say I struggle with money anymore. I struggle with, every new level that I want to get to of
Yeah.
success and wealth I don't want to say struggle, but there is a challenge. There's an expansion. There's growth and resistance. And I, I still feel like I'm still learning and mastering this lesson. And I think I could honestly live this whole lifetime and make insane amounts of money and still be learning this lesson. And because there's infinite expansion in success and wealth. And I was actually just talking about this on a peer mastermind I was in a couple hours ago where I told them, I said, I'm redefining my relationship with externalized success. That's
Yes.
literally what I just said 2 hours ago on a call.
Oh
So
my God, spot on.
it's just so perfect. So it's so fascinating, and that's so interesting. It explains a lot of why all of my gifts I feel have converged here and why I'm so passionate about this because at the end of the day, I don't really care about the actual money. Like I do care. I want it. I want
Yeah.
more. I want to do good with it. But what I am more excited about my work is the empowerment that it activates through the lens of money.
Oh,
And then what that
yes.
makes possible for people and what they can do when they have access to more money and how they can change the world for the better when they have more money. And so, yes, I teach on money. Yes, I care about it for myself. Yes, I want my clients to be incredibly wealthy and rich. But at the end of the day, it's like if you never made another dollar, but you made a better impact in the world, you were more empowered, you went through this life romanticizing it, nurturing your self-love through it more, like that would be the win for me. But for me, the vehicle for all of this is money. And it makes a lot of sense that this is what I had to master in this
Yeah.
lifetime. So I love that. That's beautiful.
So cool. Well, I love all of this so much. Thank you for sharing. It's so inspiring to see not only and hear you talk about everything you do, but just see, like, as a numerology nerd, it's so fun to see how you live your numbers so exactly. It's incredible. So one thing that I always like to end everything on is to ask my guests, like, what's one of the best pieces of advice that you try to live by every day?
Mm. I think one of the best pieces of advice is it's just that it all comes from within. Like, that's just
Mm,
what I come back to in so many different ways. There's different things at different seasons of my life that I'm more in tune with, but I think the common underlying thing is it's like you're the creator of your reality. Like, that's the big
yes.
thing. And everything outside of you, it's not that you cause the things to happen to you, but it's the way that you either use anything that comes your way as fuel or as a roadblock that determines where you go next and what happens next and how you respond to that. And it's just this ever growing journey of learning how to become more and more connected again to that inner power of just like I create from within, because when I'm connected to my own intuition, when I'm connected to my own value, my own worthiness, my power, my gifts, my vision, it's like then I'm unstoppable and everything along the way becomes fuel. And so everything is an opportunity. Every moment is an opportunity to remember that and to tap into that and just come back to choosing and creating your reality from within. And so I think that's always the biggest thing. It's the thing I make my 4-year-old daughter affirm to herself all the time is I'm the creator of
I
my
love
reality,
that.
which
Oh my
was a
God.
tongue twister from up until recently
Yeah.
for her little.
Oh my God, she's gonna be so powerful. Well, thank you so much, Taylor, for sharing all this with us. Thanks everyone for listening and enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. We had a little glitch with the audio that I didn't realize until editing. So I just wanted to come back to tell you all how you can work with Taylor and find Taylor. You can follow her on Instagram at thetayloreaton.com. She's also on YouTube. She has several different YouTube channels, including my favorite, Money Mind Subliminals. She has Taylor's Tarot and her channeled messages YouTube as well. All so good. Best ways to work with Taylor is through her Wealth Vibe monthly membership, which is a monthly membership to help you manifest your wealthiest life. And of course, all of her incredible books are available through our publisher, Muse Oracle Press. And to find out your own numerology, you can book your own numerology reading with me. You can book for in-person or virtual. You can book on my website, ericaroseauthor.com, or head to spiritandsoulstudio.com/services. And of course, you can pre-order my book, Enchanted Numerology from Muse Oracle Press. It is coming out in December 2026.